Good day students, welcome to zoology class. Hope all of you are fine. Today I am going to start a new chapter, animal tissues. So today's presentation is on animal tissues. Animal tissues are of four types. They are epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue and connective tissue. So these are the four types of animal tissues. So basically what are the animal tissues? Tissue is a group of specialized cells together with extracellular substances performing a special function. And the individual cells in the tissues are surrounded by a extracellular or intercellular fluid. And the nature and amount of this fluid varies from tissues to tissue. And this fluid binds the cells of tissue together. The cells which are separated by negligible amount of extracellular or intercellular fluid, they are held together by cell junctions, which could be in the form of desmosomes or intercellular bridges. So as all of you know that our body is made up of cells and the group of cells forms the tissue, and different tissues, they perform different function. It means a specific tissue performs a specific function. So tissue is a specialized cells bound together. So the individual cells in the tissue, they are surrounded by certain intercellular or extracellular fluid, and the amount and the nature of this fluid, it varies from tissue to tissue, and this fluid binds the cells of the tissue together. And in the tissues where the cells are separated by a very small amount of this intercellular fluid, they are held together by cell junctions. As you see in this diagram that these two cells and these two cells, they are held by junctions, and the cell junction between these two cells, they are known as the desmosomes, and these are the intercellular bridges. There are present intercellular bridges between these two cells. So this is the introduction about the tissues. Then the animal tissues, as I told you, they are classified into four major types depending upon the function they perform in our body. They are the epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue and connective tissue. And in today's presentation, I will start with the epithelial tissue. So actually epithelial tissue or the epithelia, it is of two types, simple epithelium and compound epithelium. So this is simple epithelial tissue and this is compound epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue is one cell thick and compound epithelium is many celled layer. So this is the difference between the simple and the compound epithelium. Now simple epithelium is again divided into these types. It means it is squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium and pseudostratified epithelium. And this compound epithelium, it is divided into two types. This is stratified and transitional. And stratified compound epithelium is again divided into three types. They are squamous, cuboidal and columnar. And squamous stratified compound epithelium is again divided into two types. It can be keratinized or non-keratinized. So this is the flow chart of the epithelial tissue. Now we will explain each type of tissue one by one. First of all, I told you that epithelial tissue is having two types, simple epithelium and the compound epithelium. But before starting these two types of epithelial tissue, I will tell you that this epithelial tissue is present on the free surface. It means the tissue which has a free surface faces either a body fluid or the outside environment and provides a covering or lining for some of part of the body. It is known as epithelial tissue. It means that epithelial tissue is that type of tissue which covers the lining of some part of the body, and it either faces the body fluid side or it faces outside. So actually this is the covering tissue. So epithelial tissue covers the part of the body, and this epithelial tissue in this epithelial tissue, the cells are compactly packed with little intercellular matrix. And as I told you that this is of two types, simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Simple epithelium is composed of single layer of cells and functions as a lining for body cavities, ducts, etc. And compound epithelium consists of two or more than two cell layers, which is protective in function as it does in our skin. So these are the main two types of the epithelial tissue. So first of all, we will take up simple epithelial tissue. So simple epithelium, it is divided into four types on the basis of the structural modification of the cells. These four types of the simple epithelium are squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, and pseudostratified epithelium. So first of all, I will take up squamous epithelium. So this simple squamous epithelium, it is made up of single thin layer of flattened cells with a centrally placed nucleus and irregular boundaries. And this squamous epithelial tissue is found in the walls of blood vessels and air sacs of lungs. So this is the diagram showing the squamous epithelial tissue, that it is made up of thin layer of flattened cells with centrally placed nucleus and irregular boundaries. Next comes the cuboidal epithelium. This type of simple epithelium, which is known as cuboidal epithelium, it is composed of again single layer of cells, but the cells are cube-like. It has cube-like cells with a central spherical nucleus, just like you see in this diagram that it has cube-like cells and a central spherical nucleus is present in each cell, and this cuboidal epithelium is found in the ducts of glands and tubular parts of nephrons in the kidneys. So this is the cuboidal epithelium. Next comes the columnar epithelium. This type of simple epithelium is composed of single layer of tall and slender cells with nuclei located at the base and microvilli at the free surface. And this type of epithelium, that is columnar epithelium, it is found in the lining of the stomach and intestine. So this is the columnar epithelium. And if the columnar or the cuboidal cells, they bear cilia on their free surface, then they are called as ciliated epithelium. For example, in the inner surface of hollow organs like bronchioles and fallopian tubes. And if the columnar and cuboidal cells are brush bordered on their free surface, then they are called as brush bordered epithelium. So this is a diagram showing epithelium. It can be cuboidal or it can be columnar, and it has cilia on its inner surface. So this is ciliated epithelium, and if it has brush border, then it is known as the brush bordered epithelium. So this is a type of brush bordered epithelium and ciliated epithelium. So these are the three main types of the simple epithelium, that is the columnar epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, and squamous epithelium. Next type of simple epithelium is the pseudostratified epithelium. Pseudo means false. This is a type of epithelium that, though comprising of only single layer of cells, that is a simple epithelium, it has its cells nuclei positioned in such a manner that it looks like a multi-layered epithelium, and as it rarely occurs as squamous and cuboidal epithelium, it is usually considered synonymous with the term pseudophyte columnar epithelium. So this is a type of simple epithelium, but it is known as pseudostratified epithelium because though it is a single layer of cells, because it is simple epithelium, but it is known as pseudostratified because its the nuclei of its cells, they are positioned in such a manner, they are present at different positions in all the cells and they look like a multi-layered epithelium. So that is why it is known as pseudostratified epithelium. And in this pseudostratified epithelium, the cells are rarely squamous or cuboidal. So we can say that this is the pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So these are the different types of the simple epithelium. Then comes the next point, that the sum of the columnar or the cuboidal cells, they get specialized for secretion purpose or the secretion function, and then it is known as the glandular epithelium. And glandular epithelium can be of two types, unicellular and multicellular. Unicellular glandular epithelium consists of isolated glandular cells, for example, goblet cells of the alimentary canal. And multicellular glandular epithelium consists of cluster of cells, for example, salivary gland. And these are the two types of glandular epithelium. And on the basis of mode of pouring their secretion, glands are of two types, that is exocrine and endocrine. Exocrine glands are those glands which are released through ducts, that is the secretion of the exocrine glands, for example mucus, saliva and earwax and oil. These are the secretions of the exocrine glands. These secretions are released through ducts and they are known as exocrine glands. And endocrine glands are also known as ductless glands because the secretion of endocrine glands is secreted directly into the fluid bathing the gland. So they don't have any ducts, so they are called as the ductless glands. So these are the two types of the glandular epithelium, are the glands based on the mode of pouring their secretion. So this is a diagram showing the glandular epithelium. So this is about the simple epithelium. Then comes the compound epithelium. In contrast to simple epithelium, compound epithelium is made up of more than one layer of cells. And this compound epithelium is thick and it provides protection against chemical and mechanical stress. And they cover the dry surface of the skin, the moist surface of buccal cavity and pharynx, etc. And this compound epithelium, which is multi-layered, it is of the following types. First is stratified squamous epithelium, and this stratified squamous epithelium can be keratinized or non-keratinized. Then comes the stratified cuboidal epithelium, then there is stratified columnar epithelium, and the last one is transitional epithelium. So these are the types of the compound epithelium, and this diagram shows the compound epithelium, that it is multi-layered epithelial tissue. So first of all, there is stratified squamous epithelium. So it is of two types. It can be non-keratinized or it is keratinized. First of all, I will tell you about the stratified squamous epithelium, which is non-keratinized. And what do you mean by this? Variable cell layer thickness. The deepest cells are the basal cell layer are cuboidal or columnar in shape. Mitotically, they are active and replace the cells of the epithelium. And layers of cells are with polyhedral outlines and they are flattened surface cells. So this is non-keratinized stratified epithelium. So this is the keratinized layer, and these are the flattened cells and these are the cuboidal cells. And then comes the stratified squamous epithelium, which is keratinized. So having deposits of insoluble protein called keratin are present in upper superficial layers of dead cells, which ultimately flake away, and presence in external skin surface, lining of buccal cavity and vagina. So these are the two types of the stratified squamous epithelium. When we say it is keratinized, it means it has keratin protein. There are present heavy deposits of insoluble keratin protein in the upper layers of the dead cells, just like you see here in this diagram. So these are the upper cells, flattened cells, which are keratinized, and this is the basement membrane of the epithelial tissue, and these are the cuboidal cells. Again here, this is the basement membrane, these are cuboidal cells, this is flat cells, and this is the keratinized layer. So these are the two types of the stratified squamous epithelium. When we have keratin, we call it keratinized layer, and when we have no keratin, we call it non-keratinized layer. Next comes the stratified cuboidal epithelium. This is the two or more layered cuboidal epithelium seen in the ducts of sweat glands, pancreas and salivary glands. So this is the diagram of the stratified cuboidal epithelium. Then comes the stratified columnar epithelium. It is seen in excretory ducts of the mammary glands and main excretory duct of the large salivary glands. And this is the stratified columnar epithelium. So these are also the types of the compound epithelium. Then comes the transitional epithelium. It consists of a layer of cells which are similar in size and may be flattened at the top that have the capability of modifying their size. It is found exclusively in the areas that are subjected to stress, like the excretory urinary passages, the renal calyces, pelvis, ureter, urinary bladder, and part of the urethra. So this type of transitional epithelium is present in those areas which are subjected to stress, like the urinary passage of the human beings. So it is a layer which is having cells similar in size, and they may be flattened at the top, and they have the capability of modifying their size. So when they are relaxed, they look like this, and when they are stressed, they look like this. This is the diagram showing the cells of the transitional epithelium in the stressed condition. So this is the transitional epithelium. So this is about the compound epithelium. So this is a diagram showing different types of the epithelium. This is simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar. Then this is transitional epithelium. This is pseudo-stratified columnar. Then this is stratified columnar, and this is stratified squamous. So this is a diagram showing different types of epithelial tissue. Then comes the epithelial tissue functions. That what are the functions of the epithelial tissue? So first of all, protection. As it covers the entire body surface, it is the first line of defense against any kind of mechanical injury, chemical exposure, excessive fluid loss, and infections. And ciliary projections present in the nose or upper respiratory tract, they trap the dust particles and prevent it from entering the body. So this is the first function of the epithelial tissue, that it is served as a protection material. So protection is the main function of the epithelial tissue because it covers the entire body surface. So it is the first line of defense, and it is also a defense against any kind of injury, chemical exposure, or excessive fluid loss, or any type of infection. And ciliary projections present in the nose or upper respiratory tract, they trap the dust particles and prevent it from entering the body. So this is the first function of the epithelial tissue. Next function is the absorption. So the epithelial lining of the digestive tract absorbs water and nutrients. So epithelial tissue of the digestive tract, it also acts like the absorption material. And the third function of the epithelial tissue is exchange of substances. Epithelial tissue regulates the exchange of substances between body and the external environment, as well as the internal exchange between the different parts of the body. And everything that enters the body or enters the bloodstream by absorption, it has to cross the epithelial barrier. So epithelial tissue uh, has the function of exchange of substances between the body and the external environment. Everything which enters the body or the bloodstream by absorption, it has to pass through the epithelial layer of the epithelial tissue. So this is the important function of the epithelial tissue. Then comes the sensation. Sensory receptors are also present in the epithelial tissue of the nose, eyes and ears, taste bud, etc., which help in transmitting signals from the external stimuli to the brain. So epithelial tissue is also sensory in function. And the last function of epithelial tissue is secretion. As I told you, various glands are made up of epithelial cells which secrete hormones, enzymes, saliva, mucus, sweat, etc. So it also acts as a secretory material because the glandular epithelium, it has different types of glands like exocrine glands and endocrine glands, and they secrete certain secretions. So epithelial tissue is also having the secretion function. So next comes the cell junction. So I told you in the starting of my presentation that the cells of the tissue, they are held together because of the cell junctions. And there are different types of the cell junctions. Cell junctions are the specialized junctions which provide both structural and functional links between its individual cells. And cell junctions can be tight junctions, adhering junctions, and gap junctions. Tight junctions help to stop substances from leaking across a tissue, and adhering junctions perform cementing to keep neighboring cells together, and gap junctions facilitate the cells to communicate with each other by connecting the cytoplasm of the adjoining cells for rapid transfer of ions and small molecules. So these are the three types of the cell junctions. This is the diagram which shows different cells having cell junctions. So suppose this is cell 1, this is cell 2, and these are the cell junctions. Here they have tight junctions, these are the gap junctions, and here this is shown the plasma membrane of the cells. So this is about the cell junctions. So this is all about the epithelial tissue. Today you have studied about what is epithelial tissue, what are the different types of the epithelial tissue, and what are its functions, what are the cell junctions, and I have already sent you study material. Now you have to go through this presentation, then you have to prepare notes by combining the material of the presentation as well as the notes. And if you find any difficulty, you can consult me anytime. Thank you.